my name is Carolina Avar.
I'm Bridget Duque.
I'm Vanessa Montero.
And I'm Michelle Saavedra. And we are part of Shannon Quintana's class, PSY 4931 of Senior Seminar of Emerging Adulthood.
We will be discussing emerging adulthood in the country of Spain.
The term emerging adulthood was created by a man named Jeffrey Jensen Arnett.
He proposed a new time in our lives in which the development between adolescence and adulthood has become an entirely different age period individuals would go through.
Arnett explains how people before would grow and complete high school and immediately begin their lives by either becoming mothers and having families or by taking a male role that goes out into the field and works for survival. This is still true in many developing countries. However, the emergence of emergent adulthood ideally allows for individuals in their late 20s to come to a pragmatic understanding of what their lives will be like without losing hopes in their goals and dreams. 4 revolutions have taken place in developed countries: technology, sexual, women's movement, and the youth movement. These have all allowed for the emergence of emerging adulthood. Did you guys know that?
Nope.
Wow, I didn't
no
know
idea.
that.
Wow.
No, I didn't. Maybe a way to transition how the politics used to be in the past, compare them to now, and how they affect the emerging adult now.
Oh my god, like tuition costs keep rising every year.
Well, at least we have financial aid to help us in grants, you know?
Yeah, but don't forget the housing costs. That's a lot.
Yeah, I know, right? Especially groceries and stuff, everything off campus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Spanish economy is one of the largest in the European Union. Unemployment has increased from 9.3 in 2005 to 26.6 in 2013. That is a huge difference, right?
Extremely. Jeez.
Definitely.
Spain is a member of a number of international organizations.
Not many students went to college right away after post-secondary school. Until recently, the amount of students interested increased.
According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, in 2015, Spain's educational attainment holds that adults with tertiary education are 24% points more likely to be among the top 25% in monthly earning compared to adults who have achieved upper secondary and post-secondary non-tertiary education.
So 98% of students graduating from general upper secondary programs are younger than 25. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Right? I would love...
Wow.
It's the same here. Like, I'm about to graduate at 23, so...
I'm sitting on 22 and my whole family is having the biggest celebration ever.
Oh, my mom,
Yeah,
too.
same here.
My mom's actually getting out of the house, so I'm so happy about that.
Many factors go into what it means to be an adult. For instance, being able to financially support yourself by yourself. Are
Yeah,
any of you financially independent?
I'm financially independent in a way. I still maybe have one bill or two that my parents cover, but overall I cover most of it. I'm starting to feel more like I'm edging toward adulthood. It's kind of scary.
Do you
But
actually feel it?
yeah, like you feel it. You feel yourself like growing and kind of like, I don't know, just making better decisions with your money and being more responsible, and you have all these extra responsibilities, so it counts like towards that. Like you can just feel yourself like growing with those responsibilities.
You guys know those commercials that come up all the time that would check your credit score? I think that's what scares me the most about being an adult, just having to know that I
Yeah.
have to keep a good credit score at some point.
Yeah.
It's actually
hard.
scarier when you actually have a credit score. Luckily, mine's is in a good
Exactly.
range, but it's scary to
Yeah,
think that we need
same.
that for like a house in the future and stuff.
Yeah, for anything. If you want to rent a car, if you want anything, you need your credit score to be pretty good, because if not, they're not going to trust you with anything.
It's
Right.
very true.
In emerging adulthood, there will be time that one can perceive themselves as to act like an adult without being aware that they are one.
Oh my god, like me. I do that sometimes.
Me too.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a medical receptionist, so with kids, I have to act like an adult. Like for the parents, and I was like, yes, you could trust me with your children. But then when I'm with my friends,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm the opposite. I'm
You're
an
a kid
adult.
yourself. Yeah.
Michelle, you said working in a professional setting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also being well mannered and mature when necessary. I think that's important all the time. We all have to be well mannered and mature.
I think especially too when growing up in a Hispanic family, there's this big part of going from 18 to 25 where you actually have to stand up to your elders and say, hey, my opinions matter too at this point, you know?
Because if not, then they kind of keep
relate.
treating you like a kid.
Right, exactly.
They won't see you as an adult if you don't step up.
Exactly. What about being able to hold intellectual conversations with other adults?
Like us right now?
Well,
Yeah, like this right now, we wouldn't be able to do this, 5 years ago. We wouldn't know what to talk about when it came to emerging adulthood or our experiences or how to even form that conversation to talk about those experiences. Now we're getting older and we can actually put two and two together and listen out, other people out and just, make a conversation from that and, elaborate on whatever you know. It's just you learn so much when you're growing. You don't even you don't really realize it. It just all kind of absorbs into your mind like a sponge.
And it's crazy
listening to older adults as well. It's better for us because they've experienced more than what we have.
And it's crazy to think that we've developed this cognitive ability to like manage to put so much information, especially that's out in the world, that we couldn't get as an adolescent and when we were in high school. Like bills and taxes and stuff, we weren't thinking about that in high school, and that on top of everything else is such a big thing as an emerging adult.
Yeah. Well, I think too that one of the craziest things is I have a 16-year-old. She just got her driving license yesterday, and she asked me. She said, "Are you a Republican or a Democrat?" And we all know that right now with Trump going around, it's been crazy trying to figure out where your values stand. And I think that's crucial in emergent adulthood because that's where you start to find yourself. Because I don't think they teach you very well in school Democrat versus Republican or even standing in the middle.
Yeah, they don't really like give you enough information to take out into, the real world and actually, have an opinion on these things, because I remember in high school I could care less about politics. Like,
oh, I didn't care at all.
At all. Like, but it was because they didn't give me enough interest. I guess they didn't give me enough information. They didn't really, spark my intellect, I guess, to kind of get involved in that. And that makes a big deal now, because now we're in this age where we're, expected to vote, but you're not going to vote for someone that you have no idea if they're going to be good for the country or not. And you only know that if you have background information on politics, right? So,
and especially as an adolescent, we tend to follow what our parents believe. So seeing a whole new light as an emerging adult really does make a big impact on our country's future.
Oh yeah,
or any country's future.
Let me ask you girls a question. Wouldn't we make better parents at 30 or 31 than 20 or 21?
I think so.
I agree.
Definitely,
I think so, yeah.
Financially, I definitely agree. Because as a 20 or 21-year-old, unless you're lucky enough to actually have a job with like a high, good pay to sustain you and your spouse and your child, because children are expensive, it can be stressful on the younger 20-something in comparison to the later 20-something, early 30-something.
I just think that at 30 or 31, you're much more wiser and you know how to basically choose your battles.
Yeah, and you know how to care for a child more on a parent or like more on like a adult level than if you know, like how they say babies raising babies. I know it doesn't apply to everyone, but there's a few kids who do raise their children without, fully growing into adulthood, and that can affect the child later on too.
And I think, it's a matter of experiences, too, because there's a big difference from when I was 15 and how I saw parenting. So let's just say a kid throwing a tantrum, you'd just be like, well, tell him to be quiet. As opposed to now, I think with a little bit more experience, I say, oh my God, well, if you start at home, maybe there's different things you can do to have a kid that just doesn't throw tantrums, or, different scenarios from what I would think when I was 15. So going into 21 and having a kid, wouldn't be ready, not at all.
Like, I can't even imagine having a child now.
Exactly. I'm 25 years old and I can't even handle my own self.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about choosing a partner at 28 years old rather than 21? That's
Yes.
definitely a yes.
That's
Yes.
another thing that goes hand in hand with that experience and being wise, and all that comes in together into play, because you have to be wise in order to know what's like which path to take.
Hmm.
If you pick
And
a
mature.
path, yeah, and mature, exactly. If you pick a path that you aren't very, I guess, aware of, or you have no, at least basic knowledge of, then you're kind of going into a path of darkness. You don't know what's gonna turn out.
Exactly. And there was a research done by these authors named Zacharias, Sarah, and Torres that they did in 2015 among Spanish youths. And they've discovered that there are different two kinds of groups of emerging adults. One that is called practicing adults, and one is called emerging adults. Emerging adults, obviously, as you can tell, is usually around the ages of 20 to 21 years old. So that's that point in your life where you know that you're becoming an adult, but you're not that quite there yet. Like, oh, I could, like in the United States, I could finally drink now, makes me an adult.
Right.
So then it also applies to when it comes to your post education, like when you go to college and everything. It helps that young adult shape the type of adult that they want to be, as we applied for what kind of politics that we would like to be in, and etc. This is the time to help us shape the type of adult that they would like to be and help them achieve the goals that they want to be responsible for in the future. While in comparison to the practicing adults they see, which is around 25 years old. For example, in the United States, a 24 to 25-year-old is now considered dependent, while in Spain, it's around the same thing. Around 25 years old, they will definitely be done with their post-secondary, either finishing up or starting their new careers. So at that point in time, it's that point where they should already be starting up what they will continue to be doing for the rest of their life.
It's a little, you'd even think that's a little early, 25, just considering everything we're talking about. I think 30s is when you'd think, okay, I want to have my children. Now I'm ready to sit down and have a career, because I think a big part is I'm not done with my 20s yet.
Yeah.
Exactly. But they did discover in the end of the research that the average for emerging adults is from 18 to 30 years old. So even as a 29-year-old, you could still be considered as an emerging adult.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Absolutely.
I'm sure many people younger than 30 can agree as well, that they still feel as though they're still growing and still learning. With children or without children, I feel like you're still growing in that age. Like you're still learning, you're still, your mind is still developing. Like you can still learn new things and love new things,
I also wanted to add that recent research shows that emerging adults do not believe marriage and other things as important markers for adulthood. Young people use taking responsibilities for one's actions in independent decision making and financial independence from parents.
I can agree with that. It's like now that we're in a time of such like trying to gain that intellectual to ourselves, that we don't see that marriage is the priority and the children are the priority like how it was back then. Like as soon as you graduate high school, you immediately need to get married and have children. Now it's I must get an education, I must focus on me. And I think emerging adulthood is the me time.
Yeah, it's like we are the priority. Like it's us now.
Exactly.
Also, individualistic cultures suggest that independent decision making and financial independence is just an overall feature in the process of becoming adults. And I could not agree any more with that.
Absolutely.
So, since emerging adulthood is placed as an age group from 18 years old to 30 years old, we're wondering, how has this age or this stage been prolonged, so that they don't reach adulthood so fast? And some of it could be from the financial help of parents.
I think that's a big part of it, because I know, at least personally, is the thing that's keeping me from being an adult at home is the fact that I'm still being helped with rent, still being helped with groceries, and then after college it's when I'm expected to find that stable career and that's taking longer now. I know a friend of mine, she's from Spain, and she said that it took her almost 2 years and a half to find long-term employment that told her, we'll have you for 90 days, and then if you do well, we'll keep you on board, and you can think of it as the career of your life. And that took such a long time, and that gap between graduating and finally getting out and having your job, the one that's going to pay for your bills, it's those 2 years where you're still partying, having your hotel fun at home, just relaxing, trying to live your 20s out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean,
I'm so sorry. Spain
no,
being
it's okay.
such a large family-oriented culture, it's really easy for that emerging adult to stay at home and be financially supported by their parents.
Right.
I
Yeah.
recently went to Spain and I saw a lot of that actually. It is very family oriented and it's like everybody there knows each other.
I feel like that's kind of nice to have and to grow up in. You know, I know us being in from Spanish families, we kind of know big families. You know, it feels a lot better growing up in an environment like that, and you do feel comfortable enough. I feel like not to go into adulthood so fast because you're enjoying this, you know, this time where you're just with your family and with your friends and not having any responsibilities really. So
I agree, because home cooked meals are still the best.
Yep.
I'd rather stay home with mom.
Definitely.
Yes, those Colombian dishes that she makes so well, I'll take those over cooking for myself any day.
I
Imagine my
definitely
mom's
miss my
Peruvian
mom's
dishes.
cooking. Living on
We
my
tend
own
to
has
get more
taught me
out.
that it taught me that I really miss my mom's cooking. She
Aw.
cooks so good. Oh my god! And I will try to go over her house anytime I can just so I could get a home cooked meal from her.
Yes.
Yeah, but other than that, let's see. Things like college, I guess in Spain, it's not really something that any of them really rush into. They a lot of emerging adults in Spain, when it comes to post-secondary education, they kind of, you know, take it easy and
Put it off.
yeah, they just want to enjoy their youth. So I don't see it as a bad thing. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It takes longer to finish school, of course, but at least they kind of gain experiences and things like that before they go off to college and not be distracted in college. Because a lot of people do that.
There's a beautiful part to it, though, too, and it's something that I've experienced at home, is that ability to be with family. I've been able to have a relationship with my parents that I wouldn't have had if I immediately left the household, let's say got married, because now we get to bond. I mean, I tell my dad when I'm going on a date and with who and if I like him, and it's something that, well, my mom never had that conversation with her father, and then if you keep going way back, it's way different. So there's also this comfort level where I know worldwide,
You're building
I think,
a bond.
Yes, and you see that person as a person, not just as your dad who would, yell at you if you didn't do your chores. It's just this human being can teach me a few things too, because I found out my dad, he was a player. So to me, it's like, thanks, Dad. Thank you for that.
And I believe,
Yeah.
hearing this experience with you and your family, I think it really does build our beliefs that we could actually apply to our family when we are ready to have our children. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
ever since I started college, I've always had the support from my mom financially, emotionally, physically, anything that you could imagine. And of course, I really do feel that I'm very close to her and I hear every advice that she could give me, whether it be boyfriend advice, whether it be school, anything that my mom can tell me will help me for the future. If I have any problems. So yes, I think that emerging adults should still be living with their parents if they can, um, while growing up, so that they could get the more advice and be closer to your parents, because some people that move out of their house to go to school are not that close from their parents.
Yeah, you see, Spain has the right idea.
They do. They really, I believe it's called the Mediterranean lifestyle, where they're spending more time at home. And incidentally, they have the highest numbers of emergent adults living at home.
Yeah, you see.
And with close family ties.
Yes.
And
I
I feel
met when I
go
went.
ahead, go
Sorry
ahead.
to cut you off. When I went to Spain, I met a guy that he was going to school. He was in college, and he told me that he does still live with his parents because he can't support himself financially and not be in his home at the same time. So yes, he
Right.
does get the help from his parents, and he lives with his parents as well. But he works at the same time, so it's kind of like
What I
So
like
you're kind
it's
of
manageable.
growing and still an emerging adult.
and what I like is the fact that us living in Miami, Florida, or Florida in general, that we live in such like a Hispanic or Latin community that we can actually relate very well to the the culture, where they're
Yeah.
very family together. It's not seen as odd or abnormal for the child or emerging adult to still live at home while still attending college, while in comparison to probably North America, where they think 18 years old, go live in a dorm. And I know that can, of course, depending on the individual, whether it helps them build their responsibilities or make their own mistakes that way. But it truly does put off that unnecessary stress that we would probably get if we moved out.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think that it's funny that you say that because I was that kid that I'm the youngest of four, and so I was raised with that idea. Oh, we're Americans. I mean, my parents named my brother Mark and me Bridget just so we wouldn't have those Latino names, so we could get along with the Americans and do well. And
That
so
is
growing up
true.
with
I
that,
know, my mom did the
That's
same
so
thing.
true.
so growing up with that, I find it funny because when I turned 18, I said, all right, this is my time. This is my time to go out, go to college. And then I found out that living with four people, sharing a kitchen, and just having like a tiny space was $800 that I couldn't afford. And I
Yeah.
jumped back home. I said, I can't do this. I need my parents. They love me enough. We're Spanish enough. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like living with my mom. I mean, we're very close, and Michelle, knowing you know me from last semester, I think you know I'm very close to my mom.
That's good. That's good to hear. I love
Yeah.
hearing that.
Well, next, we will talk about how our popular culture as well as the media has been affecting us emerging adults as well. Because imagine, now the internet has gotten so big, that's how we managed to learn so much more about the world and how much we can experience it through this time that we have before hitting the adults.
I think it's crazy because one of the biggest things is with media comes the critique of our generation. And that's also been felt worldwide. I know my friend, she's 27, and so she's kind of in there with the millennials, and she hated it because the biggest thing, the biggest problem is being called the lazy generation. I think that kind of kicks us in the butt because we're not lazy. But yes, we do have a cell phone and we do have the technology, and it brings me closer. I have a friend, my best friend from the 6th grade. She moved to Baltimore, and I get to contact her, and we get to experience lives differently. She just married someone who's from Iraq, and so with everything that's going on right now, she's been able to tell me things that I would have never found out if it was old school, pen pals, things that you just leave out because they're everyday things. With technology and culture and media influencing us, we've had that ability to connect and understand each other more.
I completely
Yeah,
agree.
it's like Arnett said. It's not that we're lazy. It's just that we're trying to get so many things done at the same time.
Wow, I can
Yeah.
definitely see us as being as much of a multitasker as the opposite of lazy. Like, as we were saying with you knowing something knowing more through the internet and through social media than in comparison to being a pen pal. It literally gets us out of this bubble that we have within this culture that we live around, and we learn more about other cultures all over the world that we would not know unless we read a random magazine or newspaper, which people
Right.
our age don't
Rare.
really do.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. If we have the technology, if we have all the apps and everything that is given to us in this day and age, why can't we utilize them? Why are we called lazy or privileged or whatever they want to say about us? Because in this day and age, we were given this to us. It wasn't our decision. We didn't ask for these things. They invented it and it was given to us. So we're going to
Might
make
as
the
well
best
use
out
it.
of it. Yeah.
It's meant to be used, right?
Actually,
And the beauty.
here's a
Go
little
for
fun
it.
fact. Actually, they used to call the people who invented the pen or pencil to be lazy because, back then they had to use the quill with the ink
Yeah,
separately from paper.
All
So they would
right.
call
or
those
stone.
individuals lazy. So keep up with the times.
Right?
That's
Come on.
that's
It's
great
just
to point out.
things change. Just like
Exactly.
styles and modes and all that stuff changes. Everything changes when the world is evolving.
Hmm.
So we're just going with the flow.
And now with the
And
internet, we just grow with it.
right,
Exactly.
Hmm.
like
And it doesn't the internet doesn't
westernization.
have to be looked at as a bad thing. It can be used in so many positive and good ways. Like we can have the media and like social media like Twitter and Instagram, and we can use those things to our advantages with like personal businesses or anything, just
Right.
entrepreneurship in general.
Oh yeah. Have you
Absolutely.
guys seen those YouTube videos that BuzzFeed makes? It's about different things that, especially with millennials, but they do how Americans say foreign names and how Americans are viewed in the rest of the world or different accents and how they see them. So I think it's really funny that it's very popular for Spaniards to party like Americans do, and it was something that BuzzFeed featured on one of their channels. Was they grab solo cups, they grab alcohol, they play beer pong, they put on Yankee hats. The girls wear cowgirl boots, all of the Western ideas, and they have these parties, and they're called the American parties. And then even in Latin
No
cultures,
kidding.
but down in Latin America, they're doing the gringo parties. And so I think that's awesome. I think that shares more of emergent adulthood, and it gives people that ability to see, hey, like, let's do this too. This is something we should experience. Why
Yeah,
not?
like
And then
we're not all so different. Like we can all get along. We can all do this, enjoy the same things, and do the same things, and
So
still
it's
Exactly.
not
function.
just us learning about them, but they're learning about us as well.
Exactly. And
right,
that's good because,
yeah,
a lot of people nowadays, like, some people are closed minded and, kind of ignorant. So they may not want to accept some things, or they may not want to hear about new things or new stages in life, like us, emerging adults. But we're here to tell them, like, it's happening, it's here, and we're going to make the best out of it.
I
Absolutely.
wanted to mention that social media in Spain has been growing more and more every day. Because of a large development on smartphones and tablet sale, the social media landscape has proceeded onward to another high. Um, as per a Comscore report, the quantity of users of smartphones and tablets in Spain expanded by 70% a year ago, and more than 4 million Spaniards own a tablet. Isn't that crazy?
That's
that's
Wow.
insane.
crazy. I think that's insane.
I
And
don't
I
even own a
think,
And
tablet.
and that, I know, I don't have one either. But I definitely do. I believe the fact that they are getting so quickly, technology is spreading like wildfire. And I think that really helps us as world
yes,
citizens to connect, find a way to connect to each other.
I agree.
Exactly. And consumers spend an average of 4 hours a day on the internet, more and more through their smartphones and tablets. That is crazy. How many hours do you guys spend on your phones or tablets?
Rather not answer that question.
I'm next to my phone. I'm always with my phone. I mean, I always have it. If it dies, I die. That's
Yeah.
basically how that goes.
I feel like the only way I'm not on my phone is when I'm at work because I can't use my phone at work. So maybe
All
that's my little break.
responsibilities.
Like minus sleep hours,
Right?
minus class time, minus work hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
because
think that social media is used everywhere, not just in Spain. I think it's just all over the place,
all
and
over,
All
yeah.
over the world.
it's something that wasn't used back then. So why not have the opportunity to use it while it's here?
Exactly.
And use
Right.
it in a good way. We're not using it in, I mean, I know some people use it in a kind of crazy way, but
A little
most
crazy,
things you
yeah.
see on there are usually business oriented. You know what I mean? Like, we're using it in a good way. We're trying to make this something that we can, bring further into the future and keep this going.
And
Yeah.
hopefully make it so positive enough that our children can benefit from as well.
Not all social media is bad. I think social media can be used for a lot of things, especially like making friends or getting help.
Yeah, and like you meet so many other different people over social media, so that helps emerging adults when you meet people over social media. That helps you kind of like what am I trying to say, ladies?
It makes the world one, though. I think that's the greatest thing is learning about cultures, which you do through. I mean, Instagram at least with food. I love looking at food.
Yeah.
Something new to make, and it's just wow. There's seasonings that I never thought would be put in food, or at least when my friends get surprised that I put bananas in my soup. I think that's kind of the cool part too. That the world just it becomes one with social media, and I think
Yeah.
that's important for emergent adults to learn more about the world.
What social media do you guys use?
Well, actually, this all
Facebook.
started. I have to give credit to MySpace because I feel like that's where it all started.
Yeah,
It did start there.
had
I'm
a
with you on that
MySpace.
one. Definitely started on MySpace. Then we went to Facebook, and then all the other things started coming
everything
in,
just
like
branched
Twitter,
from there.
Instagram. Oh my God, yeah, like a tree.
Yeah.
All at
grew
the
so
same
fast.
time. Like you can't even exclude the ones that actually have like information, like posts, like Pinterest and BuzzFeed has their own thing now, and everybody has their
Oh
own
my
apps.
Oh
God.
yeah.
Yes. Pinterest.
think
Thank
that-
you.
I think it's important to keep your social media on private and not put too many things that will risk, you having a job.
Yeah, anything in
Or-
your future, if your social media risks that, take it out.
Exactly.
It's actually crazy though because the workforce has been having the problem. Well, we have the old age generation, then we have the new age generation, and the biggest problem with that is, yeah, we have social media, and some people know how to use it, some people don't. And I mean, if I'm a boss of a big corporation, I'm gonna say, hey, what do you do on your nights off? Well, can I give you information? Can I keep things from you, or should I trust you? You know, and I think social media, it is like our third arm. It's a representation of who we are, and we have to be extremely careful with that because it does get in the way of our professional lives and who we want to be in our
Exactly.
careers.
Absolutely.
I had a friend who, she had Instagram and she was applying for a job, and before they even hired her, they went doing some background check on her, and I don't know why they wondered if she had social media, and they ended up seeing her stuff. It wasn't on private, and they saw things that weren't supposed to be there, especially for the type of job that she was applying for.
No.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
and they do that a lot lately, especially like websites like LinkedIn and I believe Portfolio is one as well.
Oh yeah.
Although
think
it
it's good.
seems professional, but when it's linked to your Facebook and it's linked to your Instagram, be very careful what everyone puts on their websites.
I think it's good. I think it's good because they're just preventing, bad things from happening or having. I'm not trying to say like a bad person work for you, but they want professional people.
Right, knowing
Of course,
someone's
depending on the
character, I
job.
think too.
Like everyone can have their fun and everyone can have their personal life, and you can do whatever you want in your personal life, but if it's going to affect something in your business life or something that has anything to do with your income, as an emerging adult, you cannot mess with that. Like, your income is what's going to make you or break you later, because all this that you're working for right now is for that later. So you need to make sure, like,
your life.
And that is why
you need to make sure things are straight.
And that is why we keep our Snapchat on private.
Yep.
Or I will now.
So, why do you guys think that the emerging adulthood lifespan is so important?
Oh, because it makes us so much smarter, I think. I think just having that experience that, I mean, speaking as a 22-year-old, and if I were to tell you about my life as a 19-year-old, there's so many differences, and that's such a tiny amount of time that just knowing that this phase exists, to me personally, I think it makes me wiser, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to have this span of time to just figure myself out. What do I want to do?
It gives us kind of like a little cushion too, because before this class I really didn't know much about emerging adulthood stage. I kind of just thought, oh my God, I have to rush into adulthood. What am I doing? Like, I have to be in a high-paying job by 24. What am I gonna, But with this whole experience and like learning more about our own stage that we're growing through, it kind of like put me at ease and gave me like a little, like I said, cushion to kind of bounce back on and feel more supported going through this life stage. Instead of feeling like you're alone going through all this, you're not. You're going through it with so many other people that are your age right now.
Yeah.
It's basically our future if you think about it.
Yep.
Definitely. And I remember when I hit 18 years old, I was so terrified of being 18 and being legally an adult. It was terrifying. But then as I'm going through college, I'm like, I don't feel like an adult yet. When am I supposed to feel like an adult?
Yeah.
I'm 23 and I still don't feel like an adult. But it's a weight off my shoulders to know that everybody's going through the same thing I'm feeling, knowing that they're not technically adults yet. They're still figuring out life, and we're only 23 years old. We're still young, even though sometimes I feel pretty old.
Right.
And I have to be thankful to social media too, though, because if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't know that everyone's going through the same struggle. Because there are these memes though that they say, when something happens and you're the oldest, you look for an older person, an adult to your adult that can adult the situation. And I think that's the incredible part, that even then, being the adults that I thought when I was, I think 13, I would tell my mom, hey mom, when I'm 25, I'm going to have my life together. I'm going to be ready to have kids. And right now, 25, are you kidding me? No, that's not happening.
I think everybody can relate to that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. My name is Carolina Abar.
I'm Bridget Duque.
I'm Vanessa Montero.
And I'm Michelle Saavedra, and thank you for joining us and speaking about emerging adulthood within the United States as well as Spain. And thank you.